Assalamu alaikum, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Wassalamu Rasulullah, Amma Ba'd. So, one thing that I've always, been fascinated at questioning the atheists I know personally, and trust me, there are a lot. But one thing I've been really fascinated at asking atheists is what do they think about the testimonies of people. Oh, by the way, when I say atheist, I mean an atheist who's a naturalist. So please don't, throw a fit in the comments about me assuming that every atheist is a naturalist. So anyway, I'm talking about the naturalist person, whether he's an atheist or an agnostic or whatever. So one thing that I've really, been fascinated at asking naturalists, atheists, is that what do they have to say about the overwhelming amount of testimonies that human beings have throughout history given about the reality of the supernatural. This could be anything ranging from miracles to prayers that have been answered. And what I'm specifically going to be focusing on in this video is the existence of some malevolence in the universe, which is manifested by hauntings or the paranormal, like the really things that you see in horror movies, like and I'm not talking about something like Stephen King said. I'm talking about things that you see in stuff like the Conjuring movies, which are supposedly based on real life events. So but my core question in this video is, what do the naturalists have to say about possessions and hauntings and witchcraft, essentially? Because personally, I know people who have been in contact with, who have been afflicted with witchcraft. And look, I don't really care what the naturalists say about this. I'm not trying to convince them that hauntings and the paranormal exists, and I'm not trying to convince them that witchcraft exists and it has a real effect on people, even though I've seen people I've seen afflicted people, and I've seen the objects of witchcraft as well, and I've seen the effect that they've had on people. Now, I'm not trying to convince you about the reality of the paranormal and the supernatural and all of that. I'm just trying to, I'm genuinely, this is a question from utmost sincerity. What do you have to say about my experiences with these things? What do you have to say about, the hundreds of thousands of people on forums like Reddit and 4chan and other similar forums on the net, which I'm sure are unfortunately pretty easy to access, where people like who take part in these forums are actually discussing how to either recover from these things, or how to actually essentially hack somebody or put a curse on somebody or make a love potion and all these things. So what does a naturalist have to say about, personally I've seen actually communities in the net with hundreds of thousands of members, and I'm not exaggerating, where people are actually involved in this spooky sort of discourse about and it's not like they're in it for the aesthetics. Like, they're literally genuinely asking about, where do I get this for the spell that I want to cast, or where do I get that, or where do I contact an exorcist, because I think that my family is or my house is there's something malevolent in my house, or something has possessed my dog or my wife or something. And this isn't some niche sort of thing. People throughout all of history throughout all countries, they have various explanations for not explanations, but they have literally expressed their interactions with the supernatural. So I think it's really it's a cop out to, it's a blind following of the naturalist lifestyle to just run away from these things, because it's not, like I said earlier, it's not a niche sort of thing where just some people from Iceland are saying that, okay, there's these spirits, or there's these, weird occurrences that are happening without any natural explanation. No, it's literally in every city, in every town, throughout all of throughout all of history, and even in the present day, witchcraft does exist. There are people who are actually involved in these things. There are people, who are actually afflicted by these things, and I've met, and I've shared their experience. Not like I was afflicted. Alhamdulillah, I wasn't, but I was there to listen to them and help them, and talk to them. And it's really a cop out, and it's unfeasible to just explain all of this as either placebo or mental health issues, because there's a constancy that you see throughout all cultures, that same symptoms happen to people when supposedly, allegedly, a spell is cast on them, and you see the same things happen when something is put under their pillow, and when the doctors say that, okay, we acknowledge that something is wrong with the patient. We don't say that they're lying, but something's clearly very wrong, but we have no explanation for it. And lo and behold, there comes in a exorcist, and he reads something on the patient, and with the permission of Allah, it goes away. I think it's a cop out for the naturalists to just look at all of this evidence, look at all of these testimonies of both practitioners of magic, the people who combat it, the people who've previously practiced it and then left it, and that's just witchcraft. And the supernatural is not limited to that only. Add on top of that the even greater testimonies of people who claim to have interacted with something like a ghost or a spirit or a jinn or a bhoot or an atma. I mean, these are all different words for the same phenomena. So I'm sure the average naturalist knows somebody who claims to be either involved in the occult, or either been afflicted by something, or either actually experienced something paranormal like a ghost or a haunting or a possession or something like that. I know people in either way, people who have been afflicted by something, by the occult, and people who have actually seen something spooky. Obviously, we as Muslims have an answer to these things, and I'm sure you can look them up. That I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just really curious about why the naturalist runs away from these things. It's a cop out, because the theists don't. I mean, we have explanations for these things, and the Abrahamic tradition has essentially the same answers to both questions: what causes things like sightings and possessions and spooky things, and what witchcraft is, and how to deal with it. So, but in the naturalist explanation of these things, there is utter silence, and it's just really, really bizarre cop-out answer that all of these things, millions of testimonies in the present world, actually more than that, probably hundreds of millions of testimonies in the present world. I have no way to back that up, I'm just going by intuition, but it's definitely around that number in the present world alone. And in history, I'm sure you'll find a lot more reports about these things, supernatural things. So I think it's stupid. It's actually stupid to run away from these things. So we need an explanation for why these things happen and why you're so afraid of confronting them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.